Professor of Political Economy and former presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, Patu Tomi, has called for the return of history into the Nigerian school curriculum. According to him, the younger generation need an education on the Nigerian Civil War to prevent history from repeating itself. He was speaking at a press conference organized by the Igbo Lagos and another group to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Nigeria-Biafra War.
We need to address things that upset people enough to generate those agitations, and therefore to ensure that we don't make the mistake that the Allied powers made with Germany that led us from World War I to World War II. So addressing the issues that these young people or whoever may be agitated raises is critical to the future peace that we deserve, to the progress that we deserve. And very importantly, I think, to the prosperity that all Nigerians deserve. And what leads to many of these agitations is the fact that we are not giving our people a future that we are in a position to. And the fundamental question of how leaders help shape human progress. The young particularly need an education on the Civil War. But right now, because we don't teach history, they don't have a sense for it. And if we don't educate them properly, and another very important thing for me is many nations grow really strong by the heroes they build from their past experiences. And Nigeria doesn't provide enough opportunity for its young to find heroes.
And talking about educating the youth, prospective candidates for the 2020 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination have continued to express their frustration over what they describe as a stressful enrollment process for the National Identity Number. Our correspondent, Darido, visited the Lagos office of the National Identity Management Commission, where he reports that a large number of applicants were seen on the queue as early as 6 a.m.
With the National Identity Number registration, there is actually no time too early to form a queue. And when the day breaks, the line becomes longer with a higher possibility of rowdiness. Here in Lagos, where the pressure appears to be high, judging by the influx of applicants at the NIMC office in Ikeja, the applicants, most of whom are preparing for the university entrance examination, have different stories, all about the stress of getting a national identity number.
It's been very, very stressful, as in very hectic. Even from Ogun State where we are staying, they had just one system in that place. And again, that one system, 15 students were the people they were answering and 5 elders. So the rest, they were telling us that we should go to Twitter, we should go and complain to them on Twitter, that they should give us assistance.
I came with Uber around 3. I was there around 3, yes. 3 a.m. In fact, I don't know how they did it, my number then was 37 already.
They asked me to come and get the printout for my children. We are given this from Ijaye, local government, Ijaye Ojokoro, that we should come to ShopRite. It was done for us on the 18th of December, and we are asked that after 2 weeks, we will get it here.
The queue here is a long stretch, and it appears the National Identity Management Commission is dealing with a volume or the last-minute rush beyond its capacity. And of course, many of the students, the prospective candidates of the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination are growing restless. They're hoping to be called in any moment from now.
The restlessness increases with time, while the men of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps make efforts to get the situation under control. Officials of the National Identity Management Commission say they are not overwhelmed.
But it's a system. We've started way back, and it's still a continuous process. Not that it's stopping today or Friday because they are starting their registration on Monday. Not that. But most of them don't even understand that. But we need to let them know it's a process. Not that we're studying. While the JAMB is starting, you can still come on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Till the registration closes, you can still get your number. And it's a number you get on a daily basis. Even if you register today, you can still have your number today.
The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board insists that NIN is a requirement for its forthcoming examination. The board believes that this would help stop impersonation and other forms of malpractices. But those criticizing the move say the timing and execution plan are faulty. Dari Idowu, Channels Television News.
From Lagos, let's move to Anambra State, where efforts towards guarding against another outbreak of fire at the Ochanja market has received a boost with the supply of fire extinguishers to traders by the John Bosco Onukwo Foundation. The provision of the fire extinguishers follows the infamous Ochanja fire disaster of October the 16th last year, where several lives were lost and property worth millions destroyed.
The Ochanja market in Anambra State is abuzz with activities, as is typical of the Yuletide season. But a recent fire disaster that destroyed part of the market and claimed some lives is not a distant memory for many of the traders, as well as some concerned individuals and organizations in the state. John Bosco Onukwo Foundation is one of such organizations which chose the festive season to donate fire extinguishers at the market. The founder, Mr. John Bosco Onukwo, who is also a health, safety and environment expert, asked the traders to adopt safety precautions at all times.
How can a man accumulate wealth for 100 years or 80 years or 50 years and under 2 microseconds, fire will just disrupt it? It's something that calls for serious attention. So John Bosco Onukwo Foundation thought it well to provide fire extinguishers across all the markets in Anambra State, so that will be the first point of evacuation process, the first cause of safety consciousness, and the first cut of quenching the fire.
It's a good initiative that John Bosco Onukwo Foundation saw it a necessity to train and sensitize and also give Anambrarians fire extinguisher to fight fire.
From Ochanja Market, he proceeds to Oka, the state capital, where he distributes bags of rice to residents.
We are rounding it up on today's, after the fire extinguisher distribution, with sharing of bags of rice to teeming Anambrarians to make sure that John Bosco Onukwo Foundation give them little succor for the Christmas.
The beneficiaries are appreciative of the gesture, and they express as much considering the economic realities.
The man is heavily trying. He helps a lot of people irrespective of party. God, as he's already blessed him and the strength to fund and empower the foundation. Let him continue to do that.
According to John Bosco Onukwo Foundation, the distribution of fire extinguishers and rice is just one of its humanitarian interventions in Anambra State. As the organization says, it is also carrying out a medical mission targeting all the 21 local government areas.
Now let's find out what's happening in the world of business. BC is standing by.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Welcome to Business News. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Mr. Adeni Adebayo, has promised a friendly business environment for investors in Nigeria. At a meeting with the chairman of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, in Abuja, Mr. Adebayo explains that the move will help investors contribute their quota towards lifting over 100 million Nigerians out of poverty, as well as job creation. Now, the new year 2020 has kicked off on a big note for the Nigerian Stock Exchange, as the platform admits one of the country's largest industrial enterprise, Buhari Cement PLC, today. The listing provides investors a window of opportunity to deepen their investment in the Nigerian cement sector. Channels Television business editor Bosin Omofaye reports.
Coming to the market at this point in time.
Buhari Cement PLC made a ground entry into the Nigerian stock market on Thursday with the listing of 33.3 billion shares with a total market value of 1.13 trillion naira. The listing concludes Buhari's merger with the cement company of northern Nigeria last December. moving Boa Cement into the second position in Nigeria's cement market with some 8 million metric tons capacity.
We believe the coming together of these two companies will create a single entity that will leverage on all the synergies that we have. We are going to combine our capacities, the profitability will be increased, and also we are going to create share value for our owners.
The admission of the new shares of Boa Cement PLC at 35 naira per share signifies a landmark event on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, which pushed the total market value into a new high of 15 trillion naira.
Boa Cement becomes the third largest company on the exchange, so I think we should give them an appropriate recognition.
Boa Cement currently operates two facilities in Sokoto and Edo states in Nigeria, looking to leverage two of the country's major cement consumptive centers, the north and the south. The company also plans to conclude other production facilities of nearly 6 million metric tons in the current year, which will impact its balance sheet and return on investment.
By the time we release our results, after they are audited, you will see we have had a combined turnover of over 180 billion naira and earnings and returns of after tax of more than 65 billion naira.
The Nigerian stock market community is excited to admit Boa Cement on its trading board on Thursday and hands over the closing gong to the cement giant. Bosin Omofaye, Channels Television News.
Now, that listing by Boa Cement pushed Nigeria's stock market to the 15 trillion naira market total value today, while the all-share index topped 29,000 level amid strong rally from the industrial goods sector of the NSE. Edidion Iwang has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Boa Cement PLC showed up at the Nigerian Stock Exchange to list 33 billion shares. Dangote Cement jumped 6.71% and the entire stock market index jumped to nearly 30,000, keeping the NSE as Sub-Saharan Africa's best performer so far in 2020. At the closing gong, the all-share index appreciated by 2.92%, with the equity cap adding 1.377 trillion naira to hit a new high of 15.164 trillion naira. Now, only the industrial goods counter ended Thursday's trading session positive by 7.98%, and that's on the back of increases in the share price of Dangote Cement and Boa Cement's new listing. Total turnover of shares traded today were lower compared to Wednesday's session, as 693 million shares worth 7.44 billion naira changed hands in 6,634 deals. Shares of Wapik Insurance, Transcorp and Zenith Bank were the most traded, while these are the top three gainers and losers for the day. Well, that's the stock market report. I'm Edidion Iwang.
Thanks, Eddie. President Muhammadu Buhari has reversed the suspension of the managing director of the Nigeria Bulk Electricity Trading Company Limited, Marilyn Amobi. The suspension order, which was issued on December the 19th, 2019 by the Minister of Power, Mr. Salim Aman, who directed Ms. Amobi to step down with immediate effect in order to restore sanity in the management of the agency. The immediate reinstatement of the NBET is the second in such act by the President, who had on Tuesday this week also reversed the minister's suspension of the managing director of the Rural Electrification Agency, Damilola Obobi. And finally, most of the world's leading stock markets have regained some lost ground today, particularly on Wall Street, as tension between the United States and China continue to de-escalate. Let's see some of the closing figures for today. And that's it on Business News. Thank you for watching. I am BC Adebayo.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Still ahead on the news at 10. Disquiet in British royal family following decision by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry and Meghan, to step back as senior royals. And more from our London bureau in Around the World in 5. Stay with us.